Joshua Klein gave a compelling and thought provoking speech about how humans could potentially harness the learning ability and adaptability of some of the species we most commonly consider pests in a mutually beneficial relationship. Klein begins his speech by asking his audience if they have seen a movie by Alfred Hitchcock called The Birds, thus immediately engaging his audience with something they may all have in familiar. He then discusses the differences in human perception regarding animals facing extinction due to human encroachment versus animals that have adapted to live alongside us. Almost universally, we have a soft spot for endangered animals such as tigers and whales, while, again, almost universally, we have a deeply rooted hatred for pest species like coyotes, rats, and cockroaches. Klein maintains positive body language and facial expressions while lightening the mood of his audience through subtle levity, as well as introducing relevant video clips. Relevant yet interesting. Klein dreams big by sharing an idea that perhaps no one has ever heard of and that could potentially change the world by altering the dynamic relationships between pest species and humans. He shows us who he really is when he discusses his pet peeve of being told something is impossible during a story of a get-together, how he took it as a personal challenge, used it as motivation to learn about something new, and how his wife ultimately pushed him to move past just learning and theorizing. Klein makes the complex plain when he discusses how his crow-operated vending machine over time trains crows via operant conditioning. Yet he does so without ever using that term. Instead, he simply explains the steps in which the interaction between machine and animal change over time to produce the desired behavior from the birds in his study. Had he actually used the term operant conditioning, he would have then had to explain what that means, as well as explaining how the machine itself used that type of training to train the birds. In his talk, Schools Kill Creativity, Ken Robinson uses several personal stories from his life, and to comedic effect, whereas Klein uses relevant video clips. Robinson also frequently employed obvious comedic intent in his speech, whereas Klein's comedic phrases were subtle and potentially not even intentional. I would say Klein's talk was around a 3 as far as dynamism is concerned. I feel he could have been a bit more animated to lend more character to his speech, but I was pretty pleased by his tendency to smile in a subtle manner while speaking. That may not have been intentional, that might just be the way his face looks. From his public speaking method, Klein has shown me that simplicity while discussing complex theories works best with a mixed audience, and looking like you're happy to be talking about your topic will help your audience have a sense of actual interest in what you're discussing. From this particular talk, I would recommend that my classmates find ways to communicate complex ideas simply, so that they don't have to spend too much time explaining their ideas. That they appear interested and passionate about their topics, that their personal stories and anecdotes be relevant and easy to understand without a lot of explanation, and that they use their faces and bodies to communicate this passion as best they can.